Ravens flock, what's going on? I hope everybody's having a good week so far. So, about a day or two ago, I did a video about Zay Flowers getting angry on the sidelines and showing frustration. And I wanted to challenge Ravens fans' perception of what is a diva. And I did that video mainly to show the hypocrisy within the Ravens flock because so often Ravens fans, when it's not a player on the Ravens, they refuse to look at the situation with any nuance. So, and the point I kept making was anytime there's a receiver on another team who may be available via trade or free agency, Ravens fans, what do? They take a couple of clips of that player out of context when he was getting mad on the sideline, and they dismiss that player and say he's a diva and he would ruin our team and he would be crying and pouting and stomping his feet if he doesn't get the ball. But yet again, in that video, when I show you, hey, Zay just did the same thing. Now, when I'm showing you that in the video, I'm not saying that Zay is actually a diva. I said several times in that video, I don't think Zay is actually a diva and this isn't the end of the world. But I still felt there was a point to call that situation out because, again, notice how Ravens fans, when it's Zay Flowers doing the same exact thing, now you guys can see it with more nuance. Now you guys look at the bigger picture here and say, well, we can't call him a diva because of XYZ. Maybe now, when you look at other players like Stephon Diggs or Devontae Adams, DeAndre Hopkins, whoever, maybe now when you see those other people lashing out and clips taken out of context in a game where they're frustrated, maybe you could look at the bigger picture before you judge them. But that's neither here nor there, because I know Ravens fans, ultimately they're not gonna they're not gonna care really. They're just gonna go back to calling other receivers divas who aren't on the Ravens. But when I made that video, I figured, it's not the end of the world. This could all be settled. This could be, sorted out and smoothed over pretty easily. And then I'll log off. I go handle stuff in real life. And I come back this morning and apparently the whole team is on fire now. I don't know what's like I don't even understand what's happening. So allegedly Bateman is putting up cryptic posts that many people believe are shots at Lamar and the offense. But now, in even more shocking news, last night news broke that Diontae Johnson has been suspended for a game. So apparently Diontae Johnson, he refused to go into the game last week, at the end of the game last week for the Eagles. And again, if you've listened to the channel, you know I'm not a John Harbaugh fan, but I'm going to try to view this from a unbiased perspective from both sides, because I think this is kind of a tricky situation. So, first, from the team's perspective, like Diontae refusing to go in the game, that's just crazy. Like that's flat out crazy, bro. Like, even if it was during what many people considered garbage time, you still got to go in the game, bro. I don't know, like, what you can't just be like, nah, I'm good, and just not go in, even though that's what he ended up doing. Like, that's kind of crazy. And then in the game, even though many people considered it garbage time, the fact of the matter is we scored with a few seconds left. If we recover that onside kick, we're a Hail Mary away from pulling off an improbable win. And I know many people may say Hail Marys are, it's close to impossible, but at the same time, if you look around the NFL this year, there have been several teams who have successfully converted Hail Marys this year. So, hey, you can't rule that out. But then also in the scoring drive even in the scoring drive during garbage time, that touchdown to Isaiah Likely maybe could have gone to Diontae Johnson. So I just don't think it was a smart move on Deontay's part long term to refuse to go in the game. Like, you were brought in, even though they should have been put you in the game. That's Harbaugh's fault. But you were brought in almost as insurance in case somebody gets hurt, and that's exactly what happened. Bateman got hurt. But to switch to Deontay's perspective in this situation, Okay, y'all brought him in. Y'all brought me in to be the wide receiver 3, maybe even upgrade to the wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 1, because many people debate on if Diontae is wide receiver 3, because many people feel as though he's better than Bateman and maybe he's neck and neck with Zay. But despite Bateman getting hurt, Harbaugh just kept Tylan Wallace and Nelson Aguilar in the game the whole time. Like, that's just a flat out bad coaching decision. And I understand, I like Tylan Wallace, I like Nelson Aguilar, but neither one of them are better than Diontae Johnson. And especially in this type of game, we actually needed somebody with Diontae Johnson's skill set, because what's the main thing many of us kept taking away from that game? We kept saying, like, man, why are we doing why do we have these long developing routes? We need shorter routes. We need somebody who can get open quickly. And that's literally Diontae Johnson's calling card. Like, that's his main appeal, is like he's great at getting separation and he gets open fast. It would have made more sense to keep him in the whole game, honestly, especially with how we were struggling to get into the red zone, because we kept stalling out around like more or less the 30-yard line, which is what kept putting Justin Tucker in situations to make those 45 and 50 yarders that he missed. But also from Diontae's perspective, he may be under the impression that he's just being sabotaged. This is his last shot to be relevant in the NFL and possibly get one last big contract, and you won't give him significant playing time in a very meaningful game that we can't afford to lose. You won't put him in the game, Harbaugh, even when his skill set actually could really help us out in this game against the Eagles. There were 2 deep shots Lamar took to Nelson Aguilar that Nelson, despite it hitting him in the hands, he just couldn't bring it in. Maybe Diontae in those same situations can bring it in. Now, I know Diontae in the past has had a reputation for drops, but that was years ago. He really hasn't dropped that many passes in recent years. That may have been the thing that kind of set him off and said, nah, man, forget it. It's not worth it. They're sabotaging me. But all I know is, man, the next couple of episodes of Hard Knocks is about to be crazy. I don't even watch Hard Knocks. I don't watch Hard Knocks. And now I have to watch Hard Knocks because they're featuring our team. And not only are they featuring our team, but it seems as though our team is facing some unexpected internal issues right now, which is it's something that could be a little nerve-wracking, but it still ultimately can be fixed, because if you just win games and just play Diontae at some point, something like this can kind of be smoothed over pretty quickly. But another thing that Hard Knocks, that I'm interested to see in Hard Knocks, is Harbaugh's relationship with the rest of the team, because even though we saw very little of the Ravens in that first episode of Hard Knocks, it does look like everybody's tired of John Harbaugh. So I'm interested to see how the next couple weeks play out when it comes to players interacting with him, especially with the whole Diontae Johnson situation. But I also think it's interesting that they're only suspending Diontae for 1 game and they're going to bring him back for the Steelers game. Like, that's the kind of thing that makes people think the NFL is like staged or something, because that would sound like something in the movie where he gets suspended for 1 game, comes back for the Steelers game, and then he has like a revenge game similar to what Jerry Jeudy just did to the Denver Broncos. But the Ravens aren't going to cut him. I know some people may feel like he needs to be cut or he's going to be cut. I don't really think that's going to happen. Reason number 1, I think the Ravens, if they wanted to, they would have cut him already, like they did Eddie Jackson. But also, like, they know that he's a solid receiver. So they know, like, if you cut him, whether it's the Chiefs, the Bills, the Eagles, or, like, who knows, maybe even the Steelers, like, some team is most likely going to pop up and try to pick him up. And then also another reason I don't think he's going to get cut is because if they just keep him the rest of the year and then he signs somewhere else, they get that comp pick, and we all know EDC has a very strong addiction to draft picks. But Either way, I hope we solve the situation quickly. We have too much on the line right now. We can't let our team, there's only 4 games left. We cannot let this team just be completely derailed with 4 games left. So we'll see how things play out. But let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Are you on the team side in this situation and you feel as though he deserves to be suspended, or are you on Diontae's side in this situation and you believe that they're sabotaging him and they need to get him on the field? And have any of you watched Hard Knocks so far? And if you have, what are your thoughts on it so far? And do you think Harbaugh has lost the locker room?